James Tytler. The name may not ring a bell, but let me assure you he was an unforgettable character. An editor, a surgeon, a poet, a composer on the bagpipes, and yes, Britain's first balloonist. The first man ever in the UK to fly. Described by none other than Robert Burns as an eccentric character with leaky shoes, he was a polymathic progenitor of the shambolic, a man whose life was a Dadaist performance art piece long before such a concept existed. Born in 1745, Tytler was the son of a minister and destined for something presumably respectable like theology. But young James had other plans, big, eccentric, borderline ludicrous plans. Before he became the first man in Britain to navigate the skies, he cut his teeth in a variety of fields. Tytler began his career apprentice to a respectable practitioner in Forfar, and later attending the hallowed halls of Edinburgh University, though there is some debate on whether he actually graduated. Here he dabbled in the arcane art of medicine under the tutelage of William Cullen, developing a lifelong obsession with experimental chemistry, a pursuit destined to lead him from the operating table to the alchemist's den, and ultimately to the heavens themselves. But one profession could never contain Tytler. He opened an apothecary shop in Leith, concocting potions with the same fervour he applied to dissecting cadavers. After a stint in Newcastle, Tytler returned to Edinburgh. Divorced, bankrupt and alcoholic, he embarked on what can only be described as a literary rampage. He wrote books, edited periodicals and printed newspapers. However, his true genius lay not in his prose, but his sheer audacity. He built his own printing press while simultaneously fleeing debtors in Holyrood Abbey, setting type directly without a manuscript, producing works that were far less literature and more a typographical catastrophe. His printed output was a veritable minefield of errors, a testament to his unyielding belief in the supremacy of ideas over the trivialities of correct spelling. Yet Tytler was undeniably brilliant, a veritable font of knowledge across an improbable array of disciplines. His lodgings became a salon for the intellectually curious, a place where seekers of wisdom might find enlightenment, or, more likely, find Tytler passed out for another bout of inebriation, as one landlady famously informed a caller. Despite his dishevelled appearance and his habit of falling asleep drunk, pen still in hand, Tytler was genuinely a wellspring of knowledge. He managed to more than adequately answer the caller's question, writing a well-thought-out monograph in short order while still in his cups. Indeed, you would expect nothing less from a man who did the bulk of editing and contributions to an edition of the Encyclopaedia Britannica. Amidst his literary endeavours, Tytler found time to indulge in poetry. His initial foray, The Pleasures of the Abbey, in songs such as The Bonnie Brucket Lassie and I Cannae Come Ilka Day to Woo, showed his fascination with the fairer sex. Amongst his numerous literary exploits was the famous Impartial List of the Ladies of Pleasure, written under the pseudonym Ranger. This work, a titillating catalogue of Edinburgh's most notable courtesans, served as a guide for those seeking the company of women of negotiable affection, a guide being necessary. At the time of writing there were over 100 houses of ill repute in the capital. Tytler's pseudonymous authorship allowed him to adopt a voice at once authoritative and whimsically detached, dispensing salacious details with a blend of sagacity and absurdity that became his hallmark. Tytler's opening preamble argues at great length against the widespread condemnation of prostitution, citing numerous Edinburgh lawyers and priests who have regularly offered the support of the profession. His descriptions often included epithets such as worshippers of Venus or nymphs, along with more prosaic advice over which women could sing, and a warning to the young rake of which women had a contaminated embrace or were prone to pickpocketing. I shall now read a few reviews from my own personal copy. Miss Betty Clark of Backbell's Wind. This lady's about 21, of middle size, red hair and very good teeth. She is far from being disagreeable, if it were not for her sulky temper, which sometimes cooleth even the most keeneth desire in the height of mutual embraces. She understands the power of friction admirably well. Miss Sutherland, Backbell's Wind. This lady is an old veteran of the service, about 30 years of age, middle size, black hair and a complexion and very good teeth, but not altogether good-natured. She is a firm votary of the wanton goddess and would willingly play morning, noon and night. As a friend, we will give a caution to this lady, as she has the habit to make free with a gentleman's pocket, especially when he is in his liquor. That sounds like a tale of personal experience from Tytler there. Lady Agnew of the Netherbow. This drunken bundle of iniquity is about 50 years of age, lusty and tall. Being a disgrace to her relations, who are some of the best in Scotland, she regards neither decorum or decency, and would as willingly lie with a chimney sweep as with a lord. Take her in and all, she is an abandoned piece. Almost absurd, but somehow perhaps fitting to know that such a man was the first to fly in Britain. Long held dreams of flight, fulfilled by one crazed, bald drunk in a wicker basket, furiously burning firewood to keep his balloon aloft. Undeterred by being a frequently bankrupt alcoholic, he set out to crowdfund the endeavour by selling tickets to witness the balloon being inflated in West Register House. The information he based the design on came from his own work on the Encyclopaedia Britannica. There is something gloriously Scottish about a lecherous drunk genius setting out sans funds to be the first man to fly in these islands by sheer force of will and an encyclopedia, and actually succeeding. The first attempt to soar over Calton Hill was thwarted by bad weather, but on the 27th of August 1784, Tytler took to the skies, wearing a cork jacket for protection, because why not? He seated himself in a wicker packing case, which is what passed for aeronautical safety in the 18th century. The balloon rose to 350 feet, travelled half a mile and landed in Restalrig village. Tytler found the flight most agreeable, entertaining himself by gazing down at the bemused onlookers below, a quaint way of saying he was relieved to be alive. The historic first flight was witnessed by a small, presumably sceptical crowd, but news of his airborne escapades spread, and soon a larger audience gathered on subsequent attempts, though they often ended in anticlimax. The press, ever eager to deflate his achievements, derisively referred to his balloon as a misshapen smoke bag. Tytler's brief flirtation with aeronautical fame was soon eclipsed by the flamboyant Vincenzo Lunardi, whose theatrical flights captured the public's imagination with less smoking but equally combustible hydrogen-filled balloons, and consigned Tytler to the footnotes of history. As a man with an eye for the ladies, Tytler must have felt cheated when Lunardi's balloon inspired the latest fashion in women's bonnets. As his ballooning exploits deflated, Tytler's radical political inclinations took flight. Sympathetic to the French Revolution, he exhorted the British populace to withhold taxes and decried the House of Commons as a vile junto of aristocrats. Such incendiary rhetoric predictably earned him the ire of the establishment, leading to his outlawing for sedition in 1793. Fleeing first to Ireland, then America, Tytler continued his scribblings. True to form, Tytler's demise was both tragic and absurd. He fell into the river and drowned whilst walking home drunk. Tytler's life is a monument to the gloriously misdirected energies of a polymath. His encyclopedic knowledge, unquenchable curiosity, and ceaseless creativity were matched only by his unparalleled ability to court disaster. In the annals of history, he remains a spectral figure, hovering much like his ill-fated balloon on the fringes of recognition. James Balloon Tytler, surgeon, apothecary, painter, poet, balloonist, radical, and above all, the unwitting architect of a life lived as sublime farce. I have been Plague Dr. Jim. If you've enjoyed this and want to hear more about Edinburgh history, Scottish history, and strange characters in general, why not give us a like and subscribe?